The COVID-19 pandemic is the lead generation opportunity of a lifetime. That's what today's guest this episode, Robbie T, shares with all of us. Now, you might think someone who's a lead conversion coach, this guy must be a total shark. For those that know Robbie T, and for those that listen to this episode, you'll realize it's the exact opposite. This is one of the most genuine human beings I've ever met. And he really teaches us how being that way, by having genuine concern and care for another person, is exactly how you can convert the most amount of leads. We talk a little bit about mindset. He also gives some very specific scripts on what you can and should be saying right now. We talk about leadership, about how lead generation and conversion in this environment is all about leadership, and how you are going to absolutely have the opportunity to lead people more now than ever. But again, some of the key takeaways that you're going to absolutely be able to implement in your business right away is what you can be saying now that is more pertinent and more relevant and more valuable than it's ever been before. I can't wait for you to listen to this episode. If this is helpful at all, subscribe to the show, hit the bell, be sure and tune in to our future episodes. Enjoy. Hey, welcome back to the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. Excited today to bring you some big value from an absolute superhero when it comes to lead conversion. I'm going to introduce him here in just a second. What you're going to get though is within the COVID era, there's a lot of agents that don't know exactly what to say. They don't know exactly what to do. Today, we're going to solve that for you. And we're going to give you very tactical things that you can be doing and saying in order to lead, in order to think correctly, in order to speak correctly, and in order to act correctly. So this is going to be an action-packed episode with someone who I am very fond of, a very good friend of mine, someone who I admire greatly. His name is Robbie T. He has graced the TEDx stage, the TED stage, there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
TED Talk stage, there we go, about this topic. That's kind of his expertise. Or kind of one illustration of his expertise. He's a lead conversion coach, coaches some of the top agents around the country on how to convert better when it comes to lead generation in real estate. He's also a father of 3 beautiful children and a proud and happy husband. And I am thrilled to have Robbie T back on the show here today to teach us what the heck should we be saying in this market. Robbie, thanks for coming on the show today.
Yeah, of course, dude. Super excited to be here.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Let me just begin. Let's get some of the important stuff out of the way. Now you got 3 in the house, 3 little kiddos in the house, and you're quarantined, all right? You've got lots of time with them. What's your favorite part about being quarantined with 3 littles?
So we're in the lockdown, but of course they say you can go outside and go for hikes, walks, and it's really funny because we've been in quarantine for 5 months now. Simply because it's so dang cold here. And yesterday it hit 50 degrees. And for this weekend and yesterday I was able to get outside, go walk out with the kids, go on bike rides. One of my favorite things to do is to take the kids to the park and go for a bike ride. And obviously we're not going and playing. Well, there's a little one, speaking of them, right there. That's great timing. I love that. The thing I love right now is just getting out, spending family time. There's just less distractions, and there's positives in all of this. There's a lot of tough stuff economically, but the fact is that you can take this time and instead of just binge watching a ton of Netflix, go spend some time with the kiddos and that stuff. So I'm loving that. Getting caught up on some shows is pretty cool too. And of course, the Tiger King infiltrated my life for a moment. So gotta get over that.
So I love what you said there, Robbie, that yes, we had a cameo appearance here from my 4-year-old, Claire, which is always really fun, right, in this environment. I think, something that you said, it was funny. I was talking to my wife yesterday. She's also from North Dakota, as you remember. And she was talking about how a couple people have come to her parents' house on Sundays to have like a church service. Sure. And my wife says, "Mom, that's not very good social distancing." And I looked at my wife and I said, "Living in North Dakota is social distancing."
100%. Yeah, absolutely. The people per capita or per square foot is probably a lot less in other places. You're right.
I love that, man. So I totally agree that right now is a great time to be thinking bigger, right? This is the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. The purpose here is to talk about how this industry can inspire you and help you to really live a bigger life and be able to have a life of greater impact. I know that's what you're all about. And it's really, I see tons of silver linings in what's happening right now. Of course, my heart goes out to all those that are suffering. Yet at the same time, I'm excited about what's happening to us as a society, that we're realizing what's most important, which is time with those that we love the most, really creating meaningful experiences. And it's caused us to slow down and really reflect. So thanks for sharing that, man. I couldn't agree more.
Of course.
Let's jump into this topic of what should you be saying, right? I know that some agents probably aren't reaching out to even their own sphere for fear of, I don't want to seem salesy at a time of so much concern, right? Maybe let's start with that, because I know that that's probably relevant to everybody, regardless of how you operate your business. I would imagine everybody does or should be getting, some like a fair share of business from people that they know, like, and trust. What's a great thing to be saying at this time, Robbie?
Yeah. So I think I'm actually going to take that one step further. And I think whether you have a database full of past clients, friends, family, or you have a database that's full of internet leads, I think we are in the midst of one of the greatest lead generation opportunities I've seen since I got into real estate. And let me tell you why. There's one simple fact, right? People are not working as much as they were. People are at home. And if you want to hear some crazy data, my ISAs have seen the answer rate, the contact rate on phone calls go up 200 to 300% since all this craziness started to happen. So people are answering the phone more often. Now, the big thing is this is just fact, this is reality, is people are heightened emotionally. It doesn't matter if it's a friend, family member, a lead that was looking at homes online, it does not matter. People are heightened emotionally during these times. And the biggest thing is this. I think I'm going to brag on us for one moment. I don't like to do that, but I'm going to do it for a second. Is we were built for this. People keep asking me, what have you guys done to change what you're doing? Have you changed anything you're saying? No, because our approach always has been, let's not sell, let's serve. Let's not talk, let's listen. And if you need a guiding framework for, whether you're talking to an internet lead or you're talking to a friend or family, call and just touch base and check in with people. Here's the biggest things. Call people and just, in your circle, your friends, family, ask how they're doing with all of this. And here's the thing. I guarantee you, if you just shush, if you shut your mouth and stop your tongue from moving and your lips from moving, I guarantee they'll talk for 10, 15, 20 minutes about their perspective on all of this. And then, of course, it's just building connections, right? Right now is the time, and another piece of data behind this, because I love numbers. Verizon and AT&T have said that their talk time and total calls are higher every single day since this started than it is usually on Mother's Day. And I didn't know if you knew this, Justin, but Mother's Day is always the #1 day for calls made in the United States and #1 for talk time, aka people are calling their moms and checking in, right? And we are far surpassing those numbers every single day right now. And people are answering because they're craving social contact. I'm introverted as heck, dude, and I'm even craving it. I'm craving social contact. So the biggest thing right now, I think we're on the cusp of a really great lead generation opportunity, as long as you view it that way. And the reason I say that is I'm very optimistic at some point we're going to get past all this craziness. Things will level out. Things will normalize. And you said a word earlier on our pre-show. You said a lot of people right now are hibernating. And that's what's happening. A lot of people are going into their cave, whether it's because they can't work, they're stuck at home, maybe circumstances. This is an opportunity for you to reach out and do the work that nobody else is doing. And there's 2 questions you need to be asking. Okay, first off, don't ask people right now if they're wanting to make a move sometime in the near future. Terrible idea, right? Because we're in an age where people are afraid, they're afraid of potentially getting sick, but not even just that anymore. It's economic fear and uncertainty that's causing people to panic. And when they panic, they pause. And what you need to be doing is asking 2 questions that will unlock a ton of information for you. One is, before all this craziness happened, what were you thinking about potentially doing? Or once all this craziness happens, are you thinking about making a move then? If you get them out of the now and shift them to the past or the future, If you do one of those two things, people will talk about it because they'll get out of this mindset of the fears related to right now. And the way I like to describe this is, for the last month, we've been driving up on a car, right? And as you're driving on an interstate, the closer you get to something, the bigger it gets. The farther away, the smaller it is. And for the last month, we knew this was coming, and we've been seeing it get bigger and get bigger and get bigger. At some point, what's going to happen is we're going to be side by side with it. And I think we're close to that. And what's going to happen eventually is we'll start getting past it. And it'll still seem big at first, right? It'll be right next to you. But what will eventually happen is the further we get past it, the more it becomes a distant memory. And one of my favorite quotes I recently read in The Intelligent Investor, it was all about how in the history of humankind, one of the best quotes is, "This too shall pass." And that's what we always forget, right? As human natures, we feel stuck, like this is permanent, it's not going to change, this will be here forever, and people panic and get scared. Things switch very, very quickly, and I promise you there's going to be a point where things switch back very quickly as well. So that's my biggest thing. I think this is a huge lead generation opportunity if you view it that way, if you have the mindset, if you double down on your effort. So that's probably a lot more than what you thought you'd get.
No, that was a fantastic answer, Robbie. And I couldn't agree more. I think at the end of the day, if you treat your business like you are there to serve people, then everything you said absolutely is 100% true. If by chance you've set up your business to see like how much can I get from people, you're going to really struggle right now. And my belief is that the people that follow this show are people who got into real estate actually because they love people. They want to serve people. So with that being the correct framework then, that, you know, for which you came into this business, that you're actually here to serve people. The reality is people really need to be served right now. And it's not just the fact that they need a doctor or a nurse or a ventilator. Like that's the extreme situation. There's some people that absolutely need that. There's a whole bunch of people that spend a lot of time during the day watching other people in those situations. And it's as if they're taking the reality of what's happening in the epicenter of New York or Italy, and they're bringing it into their home state, into their home.
Right.
And, you know, all of us as humans tend to do that a little bit, right? Like the what ifs. And I would encourage you, in fact, I want to circle back here on mindset a little bit, which you've already touched on some. But I think it's really important first of all, for us to be really careful about what we're bringing into our reality that may not be our reality. And then secondly, I also want to point out the fact that because others are doing that, you can call, and what you said there, Robbie, I think was fantastic. Just the script on how to approach people. If you just ask, like, how are you doing? And, you know, I would even add, like, how's your job? How are things? And let people, like, I doubt that they're having the opportunity to really speak out loud some of the concerns that they have, whether they be real or whether they be, you know, potentially real. I think that there's just getting people talking, you're serving them. And at some point, if and when real estate becomes a reality in their life again, you've now positioned yourself to be somebody that actually cares, right?
Well, think about this, Justin. What do we do when we're naturally emotionally heightened? When we're struggling with our emotions, what do we naturally do? If we're struggling with it, we go and talk to someone about it. It's how we're hardwired to help process things. That's why counselors have jobs, right? That's why therapists exist. And you said something profound. Right now, you don't have to serve people by helping them buy or sell a home. You can serve people, and this is always true, by the way. You can serve people by just hearing them, by just hearing them out. You see, this world is all about talking, and very few people are calling with the intent of listening. Even, I've seen, there's a certain brokerage out there that's circulating scripts right now. And some people keep saying, now's the time to throw the scripts out the window. And they're right, but they're also wrong. My point is, why was the script in the window to begin with? It doesn't need to be there. If your intent is to call and come from curiosity, understand where someone is and how, you know, they might want to be served. If you do that, it's crazy. If you just, frankly, if you just listen to people, you get all the information on how you can help someone eventually buy or sell a home. The biggest blocker in these conversations is almost never the lead. It's almost always us because we keep trying to talk and put our input in. So to put this all together, what I would do is I'd be calling people to just hear where they're at, like you've said. How are you doing with all this? And then use I think the best script in the book is tell me more. Because some people are going to bring up, varying levels of information. Someone's going to tell you that they just got furloughed. Someone's going to tell you that maybe their mom is sick with the coronavirus. Some people are going to tell you that they're just scared. Some people are going to be like, I need to buy a house now because I'm an investor and I know there's some opportunities out there. You just don't know. But you call these people and just check in and hear them out. And here's what's this is why I hate scripts. Dan Pink, one of my favorite authors, he said scripts work really well in very predictable, stable environments. And here's what I'll tell you about every human being in the world. As a whole, if you take the data of 100,000 people, really predictable. Like you can predict people to a T what they're going to do. But as an individual in the micro level, we're 100% unpredictable. We do crazy stuff. We go, do crazy things all the time. And it's because all of us have different sets of conditioning that shape what words mean and thoughts mean to us. Like, and the whole point, my whole approach I've always taught people in lead conversion is simply this: hear people out and act like you're a 3-year-old that doesn't know what someone's saying. Because 3-year-olds are smart enough to know that they are ignorant. The ignorance makes sure that you ask a question to fill that ignorance. So when somebody says they want a bigger home or that they're struggling, we don't just, chalk that up. I know what struggling means, or I know what a bigger home means. You need to be asking, well, Justin, you're struggling. Tell me about that. What's going on? Or you want a bigger home. Help me understand that a bit better. And just by saying things like that, what happens is they tell you more information. And you just repeat. And truly, the thing you need to let go of, especially in a moment like this, but all the time, is let go of the attachment of making a sale. Just let go of it, or else you have sales breath, and dude, sales breath smells like crap. So,
and so much wisdom to unpack there. There's something I got to point out before we move on. And you made a point of like talking to people about the past or the future. And I think right now, everybody dreams of having a vacation outside of their home, but the reality is they can't have one. And when you transport somebody to, hey, once this all passes, once this is behind us, let's talk about the future. You've almost given people a passport.
Yes.
Get some outside of this quarantine country in which we all live right now, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's tons of value in that. Something else that you said that I think is so profound is that, just like what else? Like, and almost taking it when somebody asks a question or answers a question, as opposed to thinking that we understand that from our perspective, it's getting them to speak what that means from their perspective. And I think that's the power of answering really great questions, is that we're not assuming that we know what that means.
Well, that is it right there. Making assumptions is the enemy of learning great information. It is the biggest problem, and assumptions happen when we think we're smarter than we are. I've always said one of the greatest skill sets I have is I'm very average in intelligence. So I always have to ask clarifying questions. So it's normal to me. And that's been my greatest strength, because I've realized that Justin can say the exact same words, and I can hear those words, and someone else sitting next to me can hear those words, and all three of us can have drastically different meanings of what that actually means. So what I've learned and what I teach all my clients to say, the question you need to be asking yourself is, what does that actually mean? And if you don't know what something actually means at the deepest roots, if you don't know what it is, when somebody says they want a bigger home, that is not the depth of something. When someone says they're struggling, that is not the depth of something. Instead, you need to ask questions that gets to the depth of what they're going through. And here's what I know everyone's afraid of. This guaranteed it. Everybody's afraid of coming across as intrusive, right? I hear it all the damn time. They're like, you're going to come across as intrusive. You're going to offend people by asking that next question. Here's the truth about human beings: is one of the most valuable things you can do is hear someone's story. Their biggest fear is you're someone that's trying to manipulate them, coerce them, push them to do something. What they're craving and hoping for is a human being that just hears them one of the greatest things, one of the greatest gifts you can give someone is truly just listening to their story. Because we all want to tell it. It makes us feel important. The problem is people aren't asking with the intent of actually learning and listening. Does that make sense?
100%. And I think, one thing that I've found is that when people ask really good questions, oftentimes it's forcing me to hear my own story for the first time.
Yeah.
It actually causes me to have to think in a way that I haven't thought before, and really consider, how do I feel about that? And then as I verbalize that, I'm coming to the understanding of how I actually feel and why I feel that way. And now there's this bond to Robbie T, because he took me someplace and helped me to understand something about myself and
Right.
why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling that's
Right.
causing me to be upset. I have found that my wife's pretty good at this. She'll ask me like, "Hey, what's wrong?
Yeah.
What's the matter?" And I'll be like, "Like, what do you mean?" And she can just tell that there's just a little bit of agitation in my voice and in my tone.
Yeah.
And she gets me to stop and consider, why am I agitated? Like, what's going on? And then I can reverse my steps and say, oh, it's this. It's because of this conversation I had. It's because of this missed expectation. It's because of this, this, and this. And then I'm able to deal with it. And so all of a sudden, these feelings that before were just like almost hidden. I wasn't happy. I didn't know why. She helps me uncover it and deal with it. And I think when we're great leaders like you are, Robbie, where you can really get people to speak genuinely about where they're at, again, they start to figure out why they feel the way they feel. And it's a powerful thing to be able to lead people that way.
Well, it's powerful. I think it's one of the greatest gifts you can give someone. And I think one of the biggest flawed assumptions is we think other people have written down and fully processed what they're hoping to do all the time. Like, we think that when we're talking to a lead, that they've completely written out to a T what they're hoping to do and why they're hoping to do it. And that's not how humans work. Even super high C's that are hyper focused on control, when you ask good questions, you help people realize new things. And for me, I've always said that finding out one why behind anything is more powerful than 10,000 whats. And a really just a simple, great example of that is, if somebody wants a bigger home, and most real estate agents will then go into a conversation and learn all the details about the house. And they never learn the why of why they want a bigger home. And I will tell you this, that at any day, any conversation, finding out the why will be so much more powerful because it's emotional. If you can get somebody to open up about the reason they want a bigger home is because they feel like they keep getting annoyed with their kids, and it's breaking their heart that it feels that way, but it's because they can't escape, or that they keep stepping on their toys and there's not a concentrated room for all those toys. I keep stepping on Legos and I can't do it anymore. If you get them to open up about that one simple statement, the why, the emotion, that one thing is 10 times, 100 times more powerful than, I want 5 beds, 3 baths, 2 garage stalls, 2,200 square feet, and granite countertops. Now, you should be learning both, but 95% of people in real estate, they only focus on the whats. And if you can shift and learn about the whys, and I think it's more difficult because we feel like we're prying, right? And people will leave hints behind. And it's on you. Like, if you're not learning this information, I promise you it's not because of the leads, it's because you're not asking the questions. It's when someone says they want a bigger home, you're saying, great, how many bedrooms do you want? Or tell me about that bigger home. Instead of saying, oh, okay, Justin, you want a bigger home, tell me more about that. And almost always, the moment you ask an open-ended question like that, what happens is there's like the best ISAs I've ever coached, and people in this whole game, agents, there's like a oh crap moment where they take a deep breath and then they vomit, and you can't get them to stop talking. They just vomit it out. And when you learn that information, now you can more effectively help this person, because it's not just about getting a bigger home, right? It's, my mother-in-law's moving in because my father-in-law just passed away and we need a bigger house. If you can learn those things And dude, there's a data bank of 1 billion stories like this. If you can learn those things, you can more effectively help people. And if you can do that, your service will be brought up to the top notch. I believe it's the most effective way to serve people is to hear them out and find out how they need to be served in the beginning or to begin with. Most people skip that and they move right on and into this is what you want. I'm going to send you listings. Let's make it happen. And then they, I don't know, sell 10 homes a year and they are frustrated with that and they don't know why.
You know, I think a powerful thing that happens in that process as well is that some people may say, as you described, I have a really real reason for needing a bigger house. Someone else might at that point be like, you know what? I don't really have a good reason. It's probably just for vanity's sake. You know, we really don't need a bigger house. We need one about the same size. We just need it in a different school district. And they start to have to come to grips with the fact of why are they aspiring to this stuff? And is it real? Like, is it just because I'm trying to keep up with my sister who just bought a nice house or my brother who bought a bigger house? Like, do I really need one or do I just need a different home? You know, and I think, again, as you described, and I think this is the critical piece for anybody that's in the business of generating leads, whether it be real estate, whether it be whatever, is a skill set of getting people to talk and speak and you being curious and patient enough and caring enough to actually walk them through that process that now you become a trusted advisor, right? And I know that term almost gets overused in our industry. Like everybody's a trusted advisor, but I see it differently. I think there's only a very select amount of people that are really trusted and are really advisors, right?
You know how you can tell that, Justin? It's one of my favorite measures. Is bad agents go out and show people 20, 30 homes, and they're showing them, a ton of those homes because they haven't had the connection with somebody. They know that they shouldn't be showing 25 of those homes to those people, but they don't have the trust to tell someone, no, from what you've told me, this would be a terrible fit for you. Dude, I see it all the time. Like, I will see it happen where somebody's with a crappy agent. Actually, one of my favorite stories is I have a new ISA that just started. And she's in California. She viewed 20 plus homes with a friend, okay? And she was just going through some heck, submitted an inquiry on Zillow. I believe it was Zillow. Somehow got a hold of this other agent that hired me to train the ISA. And she did the opposite. She just went in with curiosity. This agent did. She showed that person that is now the ISA 2 more homes, and that's it. Got them in the right one because she built trust and was able to educate her on what she wanted. I think what people don't realize is you can't fully influence someone until you find out what's already influencing them. And if you're leading a team or managing someone, you know that inherently. Like, you can't lead and manage people if you don't know what they care about. Like, have fun. It doesn't work. You'll be at a standstill. Dude, real estate, helping someone buy a home, dude, it's management. It's leading somebody through the process, right? So why are we not taking the time to slow down, build a connection, really dig into what they're hoping and wanting, and then you can move so much quicker. You don't have to go show 30 homes. You can show 5. And like, our average is probably something like 6 homes, showing someone 6 homes before they purchase. And that might even be high, to be honest. So,
I think there's this concept of speed in our industry, right?
yeah.
Like how many contacts and how many people. And I think it's when you start to bring in quality, you don't need as many, right? You don't, because it's not this litmus test of quickly do you need my help with real estate? Yes or no? No. Okay, I'm out. Right.
Right.
And I think, what I hear you saying and what comes to mind is this concept of if you really genuinely care about people, and you genuinely want to serve them, and you've got the skill set that you're teaching us here of really asking good questions and then not being content that their answers are what you think they are and going deeper with that.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you start to uncover deeper relationships of trust.
Yeah.
Also, then when you're working with these people, by not being lazy, by saying, well, I'll just send you every home in the MLS that's between this price point and this price point, and you weed through them and tell me which ones you want to go see, right?
Right.
Instead of, and you think that that's the easy way to do it. It's not when you're out showing somebody 20 homes. It's the hard way to do it, rather than having one deep conversation to say what matters to you. When you see yourself in this home, what do you see yourself doing and experiencing and feeling? and then you get an idea of what they really want, and then you go see two homes, they make offer on one, and it's, and now you've moved on and you're their hero, right?
Right. Yeah. That is exactly what it is. And it's here's the thing is, if you're playing the direct approach and you're just like, how can I help you right now? You will be all right because you're going to get the now business. If somebody really needs to get inside that house, they really want to buy a place, you can be garbage on the phone and you'll still convert that business. Where I crush it and where my clients crush it and where my ISAs crush it is the long-term game. And here's the thing, is what people don't realize is when we're in an economic crisis, the COVID crisis like this, you can't play the short-term game, because guess how many consumers are wanting to play that game? Well, 5-10% of what normally is, right? Instead, you need to be having long-term focused conversations. I always said this, is that people try turning, a crappy now opportunity into gold, and what they end up doing is they turn golden long-term opportunities into garbage. They turn it into crap. They ruin them because they don't build trust. They don't learn what they're wanting to do. They don't learn the depth of it. Like when somebody says, I don't want to do something for 6 months, are you just giving up and writing that down and saying, all right, well, I'll set you up on a drip and send you some homes? I mean, the funny thing is this, dude, I probably set up less than 500 drips the whole time I was in ISA for 2.5 years. And I helped our team close roughly 400 to 500 closings. Okay. I want you to hear that. 1 drip per closing. And it was just people that were long-term, out-of-state, stuff like that. And by drip, I mean the real estate drip, sending them listings, right? Instead of taking that route of, I want to set you on a drip, ask the next question. Great, well, you're 6 months out. Why is that? What's going on? And just by simply doing that, they're going to open up and give you some information why. They might then just say this, and there's some psychology behind this I'll share in a moment. They might say, no, I'm just, we're waiting 6 months. Oh, help me understand that a bit better. And here's what happens. There's a really great book called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. And he talks about how people have a wall up, right? And if you're holding something up, Justin, it takes energy, right? It's exhausting. And what happens is the first question you ask, the wall's still up. The second time you ask it about the same subject, the wall's still up, but they're getting a little more tired. And then by the third time, what happens, and he describes this really well, almost always you ask the same form of a question. A third time, what happens is the wall comes down, they get tired, and they tell you. And I think 2 things are at work. One, they're getting mentally tired. It takes some mental energy to hold that wall up. But secondly, you haven't tried to sell them anything. You're signaling to them, this is about you. No, I really care about what you want to say. I don't care. I have nothing to say. I don't care if you want to buy a place. Now, where people go wrong is they then say, well, I don't want to pressure you. I don't want to push you. That is almost always the sign of you're about to pressure or push someone, right? Like if you don't need to say it, just don't do it. It's really that simple. But ask that question, dig into it. And by doing so, what will happen is people will justify, because that wall comes down, why are they 6 months out? And dude, I can't tell you the amount of times where someone's like, well, I might actually make a move the moment we're past all this COVID stuff. In other words, this person's a now buyer that's just waiting for this stuff to calm down. It's stuff like that. And you just got to be curious. You got to come from curiosity. And this stuff, it's not mind-blowing. It's really, frankly, simple. But everyone's been hardwired the wrong way. Most real estate brokerages hand you a script book and say, read this. Dude, someone had asked me yesterday about real estate, about like setting up CMAs. Dude, I know nothing about real estate. It's funny that I'm an influencer in real estate. I know nothing about it. If I needed to sell my house tomorrow, I would have zero clue, none, nada, on what my home is worth. I don't know how to do a CMA, none of it. Zero. Dude, I barely knew how to set up a drip campaign. But I understood people, and I understood how I could connect and learn and understand where they're coming from, and then do everything in my power to create alignment between my company, our services, and how we can help someone get what they want. So if you can do that, and if you're willing to play the long-term game through all of this, what's going to happen is we're going to create some pent-up demand between spring and summer demand of buying and selling homes, and it's going to be compacted into a very narrow window. And if you can build your pipeline, there's going to be a point where this dam bursts and you'll get to ride the wave instead of getting hit in the face with it, or frankly, you starving and drowning because you can't handle any of it right now. So those are a couple of my thoughts.
Man, those are so many good thoughts, Robbie. I hope everybody took a chance to hear that. If not, go back and listen to it again.
I don't even know what I just said. Like sometimes I black out.
There's just a lot of gold in that mine. That's all I'll say. There's a lot of gold in that mine. I think it's interesting. I heard actually at a training that Keller Williams put on at one point, they were talking about how in building their technology, they realized that a lot of the big portals like Zillow and Realtor.com, all of their focus is on getting the consumer just before they're ready to buy or sell. So it's interesting to hear you talk about your approach, and their technology is kind of pivoted to where it's really trying to nurture long-term relationships. And it's interesting to hear you talk about that observation as well, is that there's a huge opportunity when it comes to the long game, because everybody's focused on the short game, right? Everybody, even the big lead generation portals, everybody's focused on finding that buyer seller that's ready to go now, because it's most easy to monetize and to track. You don't need a lot of skill, right? People need you. They need a door opened, and they're willing to pay you to do it, right? And to write a contract. But we also know that that's, using the terminology from the book, the Blue Ocean Strategy, if you've ever read that, where that's kind of where that's where all the competition's at. That's where the bloody red ocean, where the only thing you have to compete on is speed and price. And it's gnarly right there. Yep. Whereas if you can step out into an area where there aren't people competing, you're not competing on price anymore. You're not competing on speed. It's skill, and it's patient, and it's a blue ocean, right? You've got no competition where you're at. And I would say what you just described there is a great way for agents to fill their pipeline. And it's not going to solve the fact that you need a commission check in 30 days from now, right?
Not at all.
Like you might need to do what you need to do to take care of that. But I trust that maybe that's taken care of. And I would say that, anything beyond that, 60 to 90 and on, it gets less and less competitive the further out you go. And it gets easier and easier because you don't have to deal with all of the madness of everybody. Like the person isn't worn out yet because they haven't got 20 of the same phone calls saying, I hear you are looking to buy or sell, right? It gets really tiring for both the consumer. So they get irritated and they're short with you, and they're not wanting to give any more information to people asking the same questions. I'm not saying that there's not an opportunity there, but I am saying what you just described, Robbie, is again, kind of the blue ocean. It's the opportunity that most people don't know about, or if they do, they aren't willing to actually do the work to get, which is actually more fun work because it's really about the people, right? It's really about taking care of people. And I think for anybody that's really thrived and maybe even gotten a little tired off chasing like today money all the time and today clients all the time, that if you can get enough of that in your pipeline to where you can start to invest in the people, not just put them off your list if they're not interested in buying or selling in the next, 6 months or the next, 3 months, but like cultivate that, nurture those people, love on them, really serve them, find out what they really need. That's where the gold mine's at, is because then you've got time to trust, to gain trust before any other players even enter into the market. And by then, game over. You're their guy, right? You're their gal.
That's exactly it. I tell everyone that follow-up wins championships in lead conversion. And follow-up inherently is a long-term, infinite game. One of my favorite stories is about 3 months ago, maybe it was 4 months ago, sometime, we just converted and sold a old Tiger Lead a home. And if you know anything about Tiger Leads is Howard Taggard's former company that hasn't existed for 5 years now. And now, of course, he's doing Ylopo with G, and they built some really fantastic stuff there. But we converted another Tiger Lead to close. The thing is 5 years old, for criminy sake. Go do the math on that. How many days? What's 5 times 365? A lot, right? It's a long time. And that's what we do. When I talk to Jim, I think the person that has done this the longest is one of our top ISAs. His name's Jim. And he's just been in the ISA role for 5, coming up on 6 years now. And he will echo the same thing, that his job is easier now, much easier, because his pipeline subsidizes his closings today. If you want to hear a crazy number, he said right before all this COVID stuff, literally right before it, 3 weeks ago or so, before it all really started to get crazy, he said 39 appointments in 1 week. And again, appointments in my world are not, let's go show you 123 Main Street. That's not an appointment to me. An appointment is getting them connected with one of our agents to have a conversation about helping them achieve what they want to achieve, whether it's buying or selling a home. 39 in a week, Justin. It's ridiculous. Like, it's unheard of. And there's ISAs I know that a good month for them. Our standard, frankly, is 40 appointments in a month from a good ISA. And he did 39 in a week, 7 days. He, by the way, my favorite part of the story is he went to bed on Sunday at about 8:30, 8:45. And at 9 o'clock, we had a seller form submission, and he would have had 40 in 1 week, which was his goal once we got to that point. And he went to bed like 15 minutes too early and booked it the next day. So, yeah, what do you do? It doesn't matter, right? 39, 40, I think it's incredible nonetheless. But the point is, those weren't all new leads at all. A lot of it was follow-ups that he was reaching out to. And that's a whole nother story for a different day. But to bring this full circle, I think we're on the cusp of a massive lead generation opportunity. If you're willing to play the long-term infinite game, and frankly, you should have been playing it before this, because right now you're not really that affected. You know, really great businesses, they understand, they don't care about where they're at 3 months, 6 months from now. They care about where they're going to be 4 or 5 years from now. And if you want to separate yourself from the people that are hibernating in their caves, whether it's justified or, you know, some are unjustified. They just really like, you know, watching reruns of Tiger King on Netflix over and over again. You have a massive opportunity to do something no one else is doing. And I've always said this, if most people are zigging, I'm zagging. Most people in real estate are running north, I'm running south. And right now, most people are afraid to call because they don't know what to say. And just don't have fear when you make these calls. If your heart is just hear people out and serve, why wouldn't you call? If your heart is from service orientation and just hearing people out, what that instantly does is it makes that fear and anxiety melt away because you don't care what they say, right? You're coming from contribution. And that's the shift. And I think what's going to happen is you're going to see a huge separation of people that, frankly, in my opinion, were taking the wrong approach to begin with and are now being forced, you know, into the approach of taking the script and throwing it out the window. Again, it shouldn't have been in the window in the first place. So I'm excited about this. I keep telling people this is a massive opportunity if you view it that way.
I love it. And that's probably the mindset piece that you started with, right? Is that there's that see this as a huge opportunity. It's going to weed out those that aren't here for the right reason, right? They're going to be like those that are looking to make a quick buck. Like you said, that's not going to happen right now.
Right.
It's going to really make the cream rise to the surface, which are those people that are genuinely here to serve people. Because that's the world we're in now, right? Is we need people, leaders that are courageous enough to reach out and connect with people, courageous enough to still do the work, even though they're in a different circumstance. And they have the heart enough to actually care about people, to go deep enough with them to help them resolve their concerns and serve them, whether that be in real estate or something else that they can help them with at this time.
Well, and the last thing I want to hit on is I read a Walt Disney quote recently, and it was something to the effect of, all the pain or setbacks I've gone through ultimately made me stronger. And it's really funny because I'm not saying deny reality and denying the fact that the next 3 months might suck. They might, but that doesn't mean that months 4, 5, and 6 can't kick total butt once we get out of this. And the point in all of this is this will make you much stronger, or it will break you or make you much weaker. And I almost guarantee if your listeners, you know, the people that are on this podcast, people that are listening to it, if you just take 5-10 minutes and reflect, I guarantee you, even the worst case scenario over the next month, 3 months, 6 months, I guarantee you've been through worse. Guarantee it. and you somehow made it out of that. And it made you stronger. Every single person has been through something tougher than this. It doesn't feel like that right now. Our fear is going up, crazy. Everyone's living their amygdala and their lizard brain. Take 5-10 minutes, go and meditate, and just reflect on the crap you've gone through, and regain that perspective and gratitude that even if you go through the worst case scenario over the next 3-6 months, come on, guys, you're breathing, you're living, you're alive, you're healthy. Find something to be grateful for. And I guarantee you it's going to snap you out of it. And then go take some action, because there's huge opportunity if you get out of that fear and anxious mindset. And for the love of God, spend less time on news sites and social media, because goodness, you can't escape this right now. Only listen to the Think Bigger podcast, and that's those things.
Really, I mean, our whole focus right now is designed on correcting the mindset and helping people see, yes, there's some realities out there that are scary that we all need to be observant about. But again, you can create your own reality amidst any circumstance.
Correct.
And I mean, you look at like Anne Frank, for example, right? No one here will go through anything like, the Jewish Holocaust. And actually, sorry, it was Viktor Frankl, right?
Yeah, go read Man's Search for Meaning, and
yeah.
boom, you'll realize, goodness sakes, your problems aren't problems.
That quarantine inside of your home is not like being quarantined inside of
your heated or air conditioned, comfortable home. Your biggest pain point is you might not have enough toilet paper. Like life for most people, and it's, again, some people are going through some really tough stuff, but this fear has spread far beyond what it is for most people.
Yeah. And I think, Viktor Frankl's big takeaway was man always has choice, right? Regardless of his circumstance, we always have a choice. That's a freedom that can never be taken away from us, right? The consequences of our choices absolutely come, but at any given moment, we have a choice. And right now, we all have a choice as to how we're going to respond to this and how we're going to reach out and serve other people. I think that's hopefully the takeaway. Let's end with a signature question. I know we're almost out of time here, Robbie. What a absolute pleasure it's been. I say that every time we're on the show, and I mean it wholeheartedly. You're just bring out the best in all of us. So I want to hear from you again. You've heard me ask this question before, but you're a big thinker. You help other people think bigger and see the world differently. Right. What's something that you do on a regular basis now to help you to continue to be a big thinker, to continue to expand your own possibilities, even when maybe the world around us is looking like possibilities are shrinking?
I was fortunate enough that one of the consistents, whether I was working in political campaigns, I was in college, whether I've been working in real estate as an ISA, or working in a conversion coach capacity, leading people, investing, I'm an avid student. I'm a lifelong student. I'm obsessed with learning. And it's been my greatest gift to keep thinking bigger, because it's inherent that the moment you think you got it all figured out, the moment you think that, you're going to start slipping backwards, and you won't think bigger, you will think smaller. So for me, I've been a huge proponent of not just reading books, by the way, and listening to podcasts and YouTube videos on a variety of subjects. One funny thing I sent to a friend today was, I'm always studying, whether it's learning about investing or learning about the mating habits of a bighorn sheep. I'm always learning. But that's been one of my greatest strengths. It's fun to connect ideas from so many different places. Like, I just watched a documentary on Disney Plus about the Sahara Desert, and how it's a whole circle, and it's beautiful how the world always operates in circles. It's for some reason, that's how it works. And seeing the connections, the circle of life, of how, one animal eating a very sweet and nectarous flower causes, and it was a bat, that would fly and take those and drop them down in the rainforest. They begin to grow there, they feed an animal, and the circle of life is just beautiful. And when you take a step back, that's what curiosity for me is it's taking a step back to see how are things interconnected on so many different levels, from so many different perspectives, and what does it all mean? So that's my biggest thing, man. I love reading, learning, studying. My big point in that is, for me, learning and studying is taking notes. You should see the books that I read. I underline, I mark them out in the front and back covers. I'm writing notes, writing ideas. Some of those ideas are terrible, terrible ideas, by the way. Thank God my wife is a filter for some of them. But I'm always thinking. And if you want to think bigger, it's a choice. Like you said, it's a choice. And, instead of just consuming mindless TikTok videos, instead of just consuming that next Instagram post and feeling jealous, watching the news media for, I don't know, the 4th hour on end. And don't get me wrong, don't be out of touch, but you don't need to be obsessed either. Be very selective with what you're putting in your mind, because it really influences you. And for me, the biggest thing is curiosity, man. I'm just always trying to learn and challenge myself and, try to master random new things. Like, I just got done with an investing kick, and it was, really great time to start putting some money in the market about 2 months ago. That was fun, the last month. But then what's really cool about it is, like, I've learned so much in this bear market now, and just putting money in the market and watching it. It's fascinating. So learn, man. If you want to think bigger, it's a choice, and keep learning and come from curiosity.
I love it, man. I love it. So good. I want to just ask the audience if you found value in this. I know I've found a ton of value in this. Do me a favor. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe, give us some comments. If you're listening to this as on the podcast, you can give us a review, subscribe. If you're watching this on Facebook, would encourage you to tag some other people. Don't let the genius of Robbie T be a secret anymore. I know actually it's no secret. Like, you're pretty renowned. But there's a lot of people within my audience who don't know you and who need to know you, need to be following you. I'm sure a lot of my clients and friends need to be coached by you. Their team needs to be coached by you. So again, get to know this guy, follow him on social media, tag friends in this episode. Be sure that people see this and hear this. It's super important. It will change the trajectory of somebody's career, keep them in real estate or get them out of real estate, which could be totally life altering. The stuff that you've shared today has the ability to pivot somebody's mindset and has the ability to pivot their business entirely and give them a wonderful life moving forward. So thank you so much for all you've shared. Thanks for being a big thinker. My final request of everybody listening here, which has been made a lot easier by what Robbie's taught us, which are 3 simple words, and they are: go think bigger. Amen. Thank you, my friend. Always such a pleasure. Appreciate you.
Love you, man.
You too, buddy. Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.